Hello and welcome to another Sanako short 5-minute clip about how to improve MFL teaching and, most importantly, students learning in MFL. Today I want to talk about homework, something maybe students hate, maybe teachers hate it even more because we've got to do something with it when students hand it in. Is there any point in setting homework? I once worked in a school where the decision had been made before I arrived that homework wasn't going to be set at all because they felt that there was no point to it. So what does the evidence say? What does the research say? Well, the Sutton Trust and John Hattie looked at the effect size of homework, and they looked at hundreds of different studies around homework, and they found it actually has one of the biggest effect sizes in terms of an intervention that we can put in place to improve students' progress. So on average, it was found to improve students' progress by around 5 or 6 months. That doesn't seem much, but it is one of the highest, along with things like feedback and metacognition. It's actually even higher at a secondary level, so it is much greater than at primary. That was an average across both primary and secondary phases. So yes, homework is useful, particularly at secondary. But how do we set homework that students will actually complete, that they won't be able to cheat, for example, by using Google Translate or ChatGPT or something like that? And also, how do we think about teachers' workload? Because it would be a huge thing for teachers to have to mark every single student's homework from every class that they set, even just once a week. First of all, I would always say, as a language teacher, always set vocab learning homework every week and always test students on it, because the testing is part of the retrieval practice and the testing effect, and it will help students recall of vocab. So that's just an absolute thing that we should all be doing. The second thing is I would always set for every single class one other piece of homework. And in previous times, I might have set a translation task, a reading comprehension, a writing task. But now, because it's so easy for students to cheat and not do it properly and to use tools that are out there, we need to think a bit more creatively. I'm going to show you a Sanako Connect activity that you can set. And I want to show you an example of how homework can be set effectively. Students can't teach, and also it improves teacher workload because teachers don't need to mark it separately. It's mostly self-marking. So this is an example of a French restaurant role play foundation activity, but you could do this with any different age group, with any topic or theme. It's an example here where students have got instructions of a role play. They listen to a model of a good example of that role play, and then they answer questions about the role play. So there's a little bit of reading, of listening comprehension rather. And then really importantly, eventually they're going to take part in this role play and insert their own voice, which is very difficult to cheat with. So they would have to do it, and you would hear it and you would know it was their voice. But first of all, they can do some independent pronunciation activities, and these are going to be phrases that are going to come up in the role play. Students can listen to an example, they can choose the voice, they can choose the speed. So I'm going to slow this down slightly to 0.75, and let's have a listen.
Oui, je voudrais une table pour 4 personnes, s'il vous plaît.
Now, before I end up recording it for my teacher, I can have a go at pronouncing it and getting feedback from the computer before I then go on and create something that I'm going to submit as homework. So let me have a go at pronouncing it and see how I do. Oui, je voudrais une table pour 4 personnes, s'il vous plaît. Okay, glad to hear that the computer likes my pronunciation. If there was anything that wasn't right, I would have received less than the 5 stars, and also the computer would have underlined the words that I mispronounced, and I could always have another go at it if I need to improve. I can always play my tape back and listen to myself as well, and then I could go on to the next utterance and do the same thing. Je voudrais une table entière, s'il vous plaît. So this is a really good way for students to practice, to improve. So the time that they're spending on their homework is really valuable and useful. We all know that time is at a premium. Students want to put as little time as possible into their homework, but equally, if they feel like there's some interaction, they're actually improving as they go along. There's a greater incentive and motivation for them to actually do it, is what I've found in practice in real life. And then finally, we're going to play the part of the customer in the restaurant and add our voice to the role play. So I'm going to have a go at doing this.
Bonjour, monsieur. Je peux vous aider?
Excuse me. Oui, je voudrais une table pour 4 personnes, s'il vous plaît.
Vous voulez une table où? Qu'est-ce que vous?
Je voudrais une table en terrasse, s'il vous plaît. And so you can see here that my utterances have been recorded, and when I finally press submit at the top of the screen, and my teacher can then go in, and some of the activities have already been self-marked, so anything that was a question and answer, a multiple choice, a gap fill activity would be ready marked, so very quick and easy for the teacher. And then the other bit, which I think is really important, is the teacher can listen to the students' utterances and either give feedback individually or as a whole class, but at least see the quality of pronunciation. So essentially, it's very difficult to cheat. It's motivating and rewarding because the students can see that they're making progress. And it's also practicing a difficult skill to normally assess as a homework activity. So yes, we should be setting homework, but we need to think really carefully about what homework we're setting and making sure that that valuable time that the student is spending, because it is extra learning time on top of our curriculum time in school, make sure that it's valuable and worthwhile for the student to be doing. Thanks for listening today. Au revoir, adios, auf Wiedersehen.